Hi, this is Blake Goodman. Nice to be with you again today. We're going to be talking today about bankruptcy and assets. And it's a very common misnomer that if you file bankruptcy, somebody's going to round up all your assets, knock on your door, have you turn things over, take bank accounts, lose houses, cars, etc., and basically start completely without the shirt on your back, your economic life all over again. And while that might have been the systematic design hundreds of years ago when the bankruptcy system was established, that you'll put your assets together, equitably distribute them among everybody that you owe money to, and you kind of are starting all over with very little. That very little today has expanded to a pretty normal amount that the average consumer has, and that translates to people really losing almost nothing when they file bankruptcy today. There's a couple reasons for that. One is that there's a couple bankruptcy chapters that you can take advantage of to eliminate the loss of assets. And the second thing is the exemptions that you're granted when you file bankruptcy are pretty generous in this day and age. Let me just start a little bit with explaining what an exemption is. When you file a bankruptcy, you kind of create a big pie. It is called a bankruptcy estate, and it is everything that you own under the sun in this pie. The pieces of the pie that you get to keep are called your exemption, the things that aren't below a certain value amount or of a category are taken away from you by the trustee in bankruptcy, sold, turned into money, and paid to creditors. It just so happens in the United States that 99% of the pie is the piece that you get to keep. The whole thing is your piece. A couple of the exemptions are your homestead exemption, your wild card exemption, and we'll touch a little bit upon two others, your car and your household goods. Your homestead exemption means the equity in your house for a husband and wife basically need to be about $45,000, $46,000. If it's greater than that and you file what's called the Chapter 7, which is the rounding up of all the assets type of case, you could lose your house in bankruptcy. And I'm going to help you not do that, and you're going to be like almost every client I've represented in my whole career that doesn't want that to happen by filing a different kind of bankruptcy if you're in that category of a high equity debtor and own real estate. Let's talk about the wild card. Now, the wild card exemption is anything that doesn't fall neatly under the other exemption baskets, like household goods or a car or a homestead. And that's anything like cash in the bank, money or money equivalent. You can pile that exemption on. If you didn't have enough exemption for your vehicle, you could put the wild card on top of that. And the next thing you know, you've got another way to protect something that by itself wouldn't be. The wild card is about $11,000 per person. That's usually way more than people at the stage where they're thinking about filing bankruptcy have in the bank. And that's not retirement money. That's completely exempt just by itself, and by virtue of being retirement, that is just money the bank, stocks, bonds, money equivalents. Your car, you got about $3,500 in the equity position in your car, and your household goods are universally exempt regardless of their value, even though it's capped at about $8,000, $9,000 per individual. The garage sale value of all the stuff that you have in your house probably isn't worth that much. The couch, the sofas. Think about what you can buy these things on Craigslist. That valuation's pretty low. So that's the exemption story. And the reason why so few people lose assets is because they have less than the amount that they're allowed. And if they have more than the amount that they're allowed, we file the Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is a bankruptcy, but unlike the 7 where a piece of pie is created, you are simply going to pay your creditors back an amount of money equivalent to what that piece of pie would have been if you'd hypothetically filed the other chapter. If you'd filed the Chapter 7, you'd lose $20,000. You got to pay $20,000 back, but you have 5 years to do that. So you don't lose anything. You just got to pay the piper an equivalent amount. And that's the way to avoid losing assets, and that's usually what individuals opt for. So that's why so few assets are actually lost in bankruptcy in this day and age. It's about 1% of every bankruptcy filed in the country is called an asset a case, or something that the trustee has to administer and sell. So that's the answer to that. Chapter 13 bankruptcy is your magic wand when you're falling behind on your mortgage payments and you can't get caught up, and they're getting so bad that you're getting nasty letters from attorneys in the bank, and then maybe even a foreclosure process begins. Chapter 13 bankruptcy was invented in the mid-'70s for exactly this reason, so that the ranks of the homeless in this country would not increase by virtue of people falling on hard times. The way the Chapter 13 works is you file it, and the plan that you're submitting to the court and wanting them to sanction will include the payments that you are behind on your mortgage, and you have a very lengthy 3 to 5 years, mostly 5, people elect, to pay back those mortgage arrearages. The other caveat, though, and this is important, is that the Chapter 13 is not a loan modification per se, where you are able to reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Unfortunately, that monthly mortgage payment needs to stay the same. You need to be able to pay that monthly mortgage payment when you file your bankruptcy, and that's called maintaining your payments, and the payments that are behind are called curing your payments. So you're doing a cure and maintain type of plan to your creditors. It stops the foreclosure. It stops the taking of your house. And as long as you can do those two things, and that is pay the ongoing future mortgage payment, the normal amount, and pay the trustee plan, the Chapter 13 plan payment to the trustee for 5 years, you win. You get to keep your house. If you can behave yourself for that 5-year period of time, not fall behind anymore, keep your Chapter 13 plan payments up, you will have your house back on track and keep it forever, as long as you can keep behaving yourself. So work hard, pay your monthly payments on your house, your plan payment if it comes to needing to file 13 to save your house, but there is a good chance that we'll be able to save your house in Chapter 13. Chapter 13, again, is the vehicle, pardon the pun, to keep your vehicle when you're falling behind on your car payments. Everybody hits a skid once in a while in their income. They get sick, somebody loses a job, all kinds of reasons why incomes hit blips along the way. And if you fall behind on your car payment, as you're probably aware, if you are behind or ever fell behind, you're going to get some nasty calls from the banks at first, and then some nasty letters, and then you could even wake up one morning and the car will be gone. They don't have to warn you. They don't have to send you any kind of statutory notice to repossess your vehicle. It could just be gone in the night, in the morning, when you're coming out of the grocery store with your handful of bags. So actually the most emergent reason to file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy is to stop a car repossession. I mean, foreclosures and wage garnishments and all those things kind of come at you like a slow boat, and you know about them happening, and you get plenty of notice and time to react and all this, but a car could just be gone immediately if it falls behind. One day, according to the contract, that you're behind, they actually have the right to repossess the vehicle. They usually don't do that. They usually don't even do it within 30 days, usually not in 60. At 90 days, though, it's a pretty dangerous amount of time to be behind on your vehicle. If you were to file a bankruptcy, the Chapter 13 is what we want to file. You could do one of two things. You put the entire car payment inside the bankruptcy plan payment, cram it down, stretch it out, change the interest rate, and pay it anew, so to speak, with a new payment over the 5-year Chapter 13 plan. Or you could just put the arrears inside the plan, that's the behind payments inside the plan, and pay the ongoing future normal payments directly to the bank. Those are two options. And so there's Chapter 13 is the vehicle that you want to opt for when you're falling behind on your car payments. You want to keep that vehicle, and losing it is not an option.
Audio Jungle.
I want to thank you for listening today. It's been a pleasure to be able to chat with you electronically, at least. And I'd like to chat with you in person. I'll be happy to address any questions you have about anything I said today or about your particular situation. Give me a call at our office phone number from 8:30 to 5 o'clock at 528-4274, 528-4274. As well, you can visit us online at our website, which is debtfreehawaii.com, debtfreehawaii.com. Look forward to seeing you some point in the future, and try to stay out of debt. But if you can't, we're here.